my name is George Daniel, and I'm going to be answering a question from a fly fishing club in Central Oregon. So thanks, folks, for the question. And this is in regards to my preferred mono rig when European nymphing, or tight line nymphing, whatever you want to call it. The idea of monofilament with tight line nymphing is really nothing new. People have been using mono for tight line nymphing for years. My mentor, Mr. Joe Humphreys, was using this mono rig probably about 50 years ago, so ahead of his time. But the reason why monofilament, I feel, is so much more effective than traditional fly lines is think about the mass of the fly line, the weight in the fly line itself. And when you're tight line nymphing, often you're holding the rod tip at a slightly higher angle. It's angled upward. The mass of most fly lines is going to want to pull back down. Gravity is going to want to take its effect and pull back down. And then also, when you look at fly lines in between each guides, each section between the guides, you're going to have a little bit of a sag. Each one of those little sags is a disconnect. The great thing about monofilament, it doesn't have as much sag. It gives you a straight line of contact between you and your nymph, but then also the mass itself. With a regular fly line, this is so important with lightly weighted nymphs, is that when you have a fly line that's creating that counter drag, that counterweight that's pulling back down through, it's going to pull very lightly weighted flies or rigs out of the water. This, having very little mass in comparison to fly lines, it's not going to create that counterweight, and it's going to allow you to fish those lighter weight flies a lot easier. No fly line. Instead, we're going to use about 50 meters of OPST laser shooting line. And what I like about the OPST is a couple things. One, really slick monofilament. Compared to most monofilaments which will snag or kind of stick in the guides, this is super slick and has virtually no long-term memory. This is our fly line. Now to connect our first part of our leader, and this is a really simple leader formula, and this is just a template that works for me. So go out, experiment, and find the system that works for you. So off your 25-pound test OPST line, we're going to have about 4 feet of 13-pound test white opaque monofilament using a blood knot. Run about 4 feet, and then using another blood knot, we're going to connect our sighter, which is going to be about 2x. This is made by Rio, and lots of companies make a lot of good quality products. I just used a Rio because for this particular system, I like a sighter of about 2x. I really don't want to go much thicker. So Rio, in my opinion, makes a really high quality sighter in the 2x diameter, followed by the tipper ring. What I like about a high-vis sighter, leader, and line component is this. So often when you're tight line nymphing, you are relying solely on strike detection by looking at the sighter. And so often, no matter how bright this sighter is, light backgrounds might get a little bit of glare. Often you'll lose sight here of your sighter. In the moment you can no longer find your sighter in the water, just disconnect your eyes from trying to locate it and run it quickly up to the rod tip. And off that rod tip, we're going to have our chartreuse running line. And then we can quickly just off the rod tip, trace our eyes down through the white and relocate our sighter. And we can do this within about a second. So anytime you lose your sighter, take your eyes off the water, look at the rod tip, follow that brightly colored leader all the way down to your sighter, and you can relocate your sighter in virtually less than a second. So there you have it. Really simple base formula for monofilament rigs when tight line nymphing. So this is the first part. The next segment of this is actually just showing you some of the rigs I like to use off of this, how I like to attach droppers, and the distance I like to put my flies based on conditions. So thanks for watching, and tight lines.